Everyone, welcome back to another video. It's been a little while since you've seen me talking in front of the camera like this. That's because the latest videos that I've been putting out are actually like old footage that I found. It's kind of saved me really because I'm actually now in Canada, and basically I'm in that like isolation thing, the mandatory isolation that they make you do, and then basically we don't have internet. We only have like 4G because we're basically staying in a vacant house. So we only have 4G. So I certainly won't be able to upload loads of videos, and we have like upload limits and things like that. So yeah, basically any videos that you've seen in the last 2 weeks are all old footage. You perhaps tell. I certainly look undercarbed on it, and I'm really like I'm in an R in and kind of thinking a lot and things like that. And usually the videos are filmed in like the afternoon. I've had the brunch and it's probably like 2 hours gone by, even though like the stomach's full. There's obviously a huge blood sugar drop. So then I'm kind of like, bleh. So anyway, on to the point of the video. Carbs are guilty by association. So so many people, when they're thinking about carbs and bad carbs and you know um kind of foods that make you fat, they straight away and they think, oh, donuts, and they think donuts are carbs. Of course donuts have carbs. Oreos have carbs, pizza has carbs, yeah, cakes have carbs, right? But it's like, what else is in with it? At the end of the day, donuts are usually 50% calories coming from fat or more in some cases. So at the end of the day, it's not the carbs in the donuts making you fat. It's the fat, because donuts are usually fried in oil, like deep fat fried, um, basically. And I don't know if they put like fat in the actual dough, but basically the deep fat fried, and that kind of cooking, obviously, basically soaking them in oil, boiling them in oil, it creates them super fatty. And then of course cakes, you've got, not only do you, on the standard cakes, not vegan cakes, you've got milk products and things like that. You've got butter, margarine. I've seen recipes, where it's like 200 grams of flour, which is the carbs, and then it's like 100 grams of margarine. Like 100 grams of margarine. Like that's 90% fat or whatever it is. So, and then someone will be like, oh, I've eaten a cookie, I've eaten a cake, I've eaten a donut, I've eaten a pizza that's full of cheese, which is 70% fat. And oh, I've got fat. It must be the carbs. I've got to go low carb, right? And then they'll even say and have the cheek to say that carbs made me fat, and things like that. And they'll basically say that, oh, I keep craving carbs. I keep craving carbs. And yeah, for sure you're craving carbs because that's what the body runs off. But their idea of carbs is a cheesy and meaty pizza, right? Obviously, for the non-vegans out there, I'm talking about the regular people. So yeah, at the end of the day, you're thinking, oh, carbs. And even like pasta, for example. I mean, before I was vegan, when I had pasta, I had like carbonara. I had the creamy ones, the cheesy pasta. And I'd even make my own like cheesy pasta. And check this out, for a recipe that I used to do. I used to put like probably about five tablespoons of the like instant cheese sauce mix that you get. So I used to put that in, and then I used to put actual cheese in. I used to just grab like a few handfuls of like pre-grated cheese and just throw that in, and then wait for this. When I'd served it on a huge ass plate or bowl, I would then top it with cheese as well, which would melt in, and I'd stir it in. So there then, was it the carbs that made me fat, the pasta, or was it the cheese and the cheese sauce, right? So many people are literally just trying to like blame the carbs. I mean, how many people are just sitting there and eating white rice and vegetables, or sugar, or fruit, or bananas with some syrup on top, or whatever, and then getting fat, right? People aren't. People are eating rice with a fatty curry, or with chicken and things like that in it, or they're eating, like I said, the pasta with the creamy, the fatty, the cheesy. Most curries contain like yogurt and coconut cream and things like that, and obviously meats, the lambs, the beefs, pork. Do you put pork in a curry? I don't know, but either way. Oh, and I remember the carbonara pasta I had as well. I always ended up having ham in it. Obviously, pre-vegan, so I'd put the ham in it, the fat and protein in the ham, and then the fat and the protein in the cheese, and the sort of milky kind of products, and then oh wow, it's recipe for disaster, right? And then of course, but the thing is, for me, I was never against the carbs. I never went on a low carb diet. I never felt like, oh, the carbs are making me fat. I actually always had this 90s mentality of fat makes you fat, which is common sense. Fat, makes you fat. Like, I mean, you don't say, oh, look at that person over there with their sugary belly, or look at that carbohydrate person over there who's waddling along. No, because it's not carbohydrates that make you fat, right? So at the end of the day, carbs are, like I said at the beginning, guilty by association. At the end of the day, basically, carbs are in fatty products because it's a really good combo, right? I mean, how many out there of you enjoy a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or peanut butter and jam, however you want to say it, right? It's good shit. Jam on its own, it's okay. But peanut butter and jam, now you're talking, right? It's like you've got that epic combo of fat and protein. Like, if you made a chocolate and it was just cocoa powder and sugar, how do you think that's going to taste? It's just going to be like, ugh, right? But if you make it and you put fat in it, and then it becomes chocolate, and you put it in your mouth, and it melts, and it's creamy, and it's right? It's really good. But I don't really eat a lot of chocolate, but obviously I have in the past, and I've eaten it not too recently, but I've eaten it like within years, and it's good shit. And I tell you now, it wouldn't be good shit if you didn't have the fat in it, and you probably wouldn't want to eat it. And if you did, it wouldn't make you fat like chocolate does, because it's full of fat, like saturated fat as well, the hard fat, the fat that when you eat it, it can clog you up. That kind of fat, like palm oil and that sort of shit, right? So at the end of the day, donuts, like low-fat donuts, aren't making people fat. Like donuts that are baked, not fried, aren't making people fat, right? Donuts that are soaked and fried in oil are making people fat because of the content, the fat content, right? And that's also driving things like diabetes, right? So diabetes, the symptoms of diabetes appears that like carbs are bad, right? So if you get diabetes, suddenly you have some carbs, and whew, your insulin goes right up, and your body goes into some sort of panic mode, and oh shit, best go low carb, because it's like the carbs are like bringing my blood sugar too high, and all these kind of things. Where really what's happened is because you've been eating so much fat, your body has become insulin resistant. So basically, every time you have the carbohydrates, the insulin doesn't produce the insulin or something like that as much, or it doesn't produce enough, or it produces too much, and then basically that drives diabetes, right? Whereas if you continue just eating high carb, And the worst thing you can actually do is mix fats and carbs anyway, because it's like a recipe for disaster. So if you're going to have your carbs without the fats. Combining them with the fats is one of the worst things that you can do, because it's kind of like it already gives you that insulin spike, right, when you eat the carbs, which is a good thing. You know, our bodies need the blood sugar to go up, you know, so that we can get shit done and we can think clearly and such. But then what happens if you have the fat is it kind of the insulin is a fat storing hormone, is an anabolic hormone. So then what happens when you've got the insulin round, if your body finds some fat, it's like, oh, bam, let's store it. So carbs and fat together, bad recipe. Carbs on their own, great, right? So if you're going to have some rice, you know, have it with vegetables and tomato sauce, or vegetables and, you know, like a low-fat curry or something like that. But if you want to get fat, then yeah, have your rice with a high-fat curry, or have your rice with a, you know, if you're not vegan, have it with a cheesy sauce or something like that, and bam, you're gonna gain like crazy, because that is going to be bad. And then when you think, oh no, you know, the carbs are made me fat, and then you go low carb, what happens, right? Your body goes into ketosis, and yeah, it has to burn fat. Now, people think ketosis is this like good thing for the body. It's like a survival mechanism for emergencies, that, like, you know, you've been going around and shit, there's no fruit on the trees, there's no food, and it's like your body suddenly like, oh, we've got to burn fat. So then maybe to survive, you know, you eat an animal, and that animal is just protein and fat, right? Nothing else, protein and fat and minerals and whatever, right? So you eat that, and then your body in ketosis turns that fat into carbs, right? But it's a survival mechanism. It's not ideal, and it's not very efficient. Like, our body wants to just have the pure carbs, and if the carbs go in, it's like bam, instant fuel. It's like putting petrol into a car, you know, it's just perfect instant fuel. Whereas if you were to put cooking oil into a car, you know, like for example a diesel car, it might run because it's kind of same kind of contents. However, it's going to work harder, and it's, at the end of the day, our bodies are amazing things, and they can pretty much make something out of nothing almost, because we're survivors. You know, we can survive 20, 30, 50 days without food, you know, without dropping dead. We can survive probably a week, you know, providing you're not in the desert or something, probably a week without water, right? All this sort of thing, but it's not ideal, and it's an extreme survival mechanism. So anyone on these low carb diets, you know, getting quick results and things, it's just naturally tapping into your body's survival mechanism. And at the end of the day, you're going to pay the price later. Like, you can't get something for nothing. You have to pay the price at the end of the day. So all these people, you know, I remember I was going through one of these groups that I follow, and this is a whole other video, but the it's like vegan beginners and plant-based beginners and things like that on Facebook. And oh my god, it is the blind leading the blind. You have people who've been vegan or plant-based or whatever for 2 weeks, telling people who've, you know, advising people who've been vegan or plant-based for 1 week, right? So of course I'm going to come in there and I'm going to moderate the shit out of this kind of group and tell people how it is. But the sheer amount of carbphobia, sugar phobia out there. There's this guy on it. I can't remember his name, but there's this guy on it, and he's constantly, every time someone's like, oh, I've got cancer, so I've gone plant-based, and he's like, sugar feeds cancer, blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh my god, right? So at the end of the day, you've got so much misinformation out there, and this is a whole other video as well. But at the end of the day, the pharmaceutical industries and the people making money out there, they want us undercarbed. They want us sick and ill and, you know, controllable, right? If we're all carved up and we're strong and we're fit and we've got energy, we're going to be out there protesting shit, right? We're going to be out there like saying, no, this is fucking wrong. I'm not going to put up with this, right? And we'll be speaking out. We're not going to be like manageable little puppets like we are now, who can be controlled because everybody's so undercarbed and they're eating salad for lunch and they're drinking coffee just so that they can wake up. Right? They're waking up and I'm intermittent fasting. I can't eat until 12 p.m. And how are they going to get through till 12 p.m.? They're going to eat. They're going to drink coffee and things like that, right? So that's exactly what governments and, you know, the bad people in charge, that's exactly what they want. They want you to be controllable. They want you to have low energy. They want you to be, you know, to be able to manipulate you into doing all these things. Like I said, there's a whole other video, but that's essentially my point. So all of this anti-carb propaganda is there for a reason, and it's to disempower us and keep us sick and keep us from getting shit done at the end of the day. So leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Give this video a like or a dislike, and I'll see you in the next video, everyone.